Look at that number, 112%. To many, it's just a stat, but to the Hollow Knight community, it's a badge of honor. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I have not hit the 112% myself. I love Hallownest and everything that's there, but I'm a one-and-done explorer for the most part. But my friend of the channel's nephew, well, he's a different breed entirely. To help deal with some school bullies and, the normal high school crap, he dove into the very tunnels of Hallownest and hit that legendary 112% on his very first run. That is absolute gamer buff energy. So for him, and for those of you gamers looking for that next insane challenge, I've put together a list of 10 indie Metroidvanias that are going to test those muscles. I've played several of these games, but for the rest, I had to comb through the darkest depths of Reddit and Steam community forums to see what the true hardcore fans are recommending. Here is the path forward after you've mastered Hollow Knight. We gotta start this list off with a big old duh, and one of my all-time favorites. I know, recency bias, right? But it's not. The incredibly fast-paced and acrobatic combat in Silksong makes the original challenge feel more like a deadly dance rather than, a combat puzzle. It pushes your reflexes to a point where you aren't just reacting, you're performing. If you're 112% master, this is your new stage. Silksong is no rehashing of the original. Farloom is considerably bigger than the original, and there are a bunch more bosses, all just as challenging and even more so than some of the original. It's available on PC, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. If you love the cryptic, gothic, dark lore of Hallownest, then consider Blasphemous 2 for your next pilgrimage. The mobility is a huge leap forward from the first game, and the pixel art is basically digital oil paintings. It's fair, but it's brutal. The boss fights here are a dance of death you'll recognize immediately. A dense and well-crafted world. Check out Blasphemous 2, available on PC, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. Next up is Grime. This is a true Metroidvania game where your parry isn't just a block, it's a black hole. You literally consume enemies to absorb their traits and power-ups. It's haunting, surreal, and based on the massive consensus in the community forums, it features some of the most punishing boss encounters in that 2.5D space. Check out Grime if you can. It's available on PC, Switch, the PlayStations, and Xboxes. Now, a bit of a confession here. I avoided Tunic for a long time because I thought it was just a cheap Zelda wannabe. But don't be a biased moron like myself. Tunic is a Metroidvania that challenges you to figure out the world's rules as you go. One of its most incredible ideas is piecing together an actual in-game manual during your playthrough to understand the secrets you've been staring at the whole time. This is an incredible adventure, and don't let that cuteness fool you. It's available on PC, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. Now, Mio took me a minute to really hit. At first, I was constantly comparing it to Hollow Knight. And that's just a recipe for being bitter. Once I stopped wishing for what Mio wasn't and started appreciating it for what it is, a gorgeous, thoughtful experience that doesn't hold your hand, it clicked. It has this honest, responsive, yet simple combat that slowly expands into something spectacular as you discover this world. Mio is a great game and world to get lost in. So check it out now. It's available on PC, both Switches, PS5, and the Xbox Series. Time for the consummate challenge. Look, I'm no gaming god, I just enjoy games to no end, and I am also incredibly stubborn. A near masochistic mix if you want to beat this Roguevania. And I know, technically not a Metroidvania, but I'll give you a few at the end just to make things even. Anyway, Dead Cells has one of the highest bars for build variation. But just when you think you're done, you find out you have to beat it 4 more times on increasing difficulties for the true ending. Is that technically 500%ing the game? Maybe not. No, it's not. But beating the game on 5 cells is a legendary achievement itself. Available on the PC, Switch, PS5s, Xbox, and mobile. I'm gonna be honest with you here, Aeterna Noctis made my hands sweaty just watching gameplay footage. If the Path of Pain was your favorite part of Hallownest, then this is your game. It is effectively Path of Pain the game. It is relentless, requiring pixel-perfect precision, but the satisfaction of clearing a room has to be unmatched. So check out Aeterna Noctis, available on the PC, Switch, PlayStations, and Xboxes. Now, who of us hasn't had that fantasy of wanting to take down enemies with a mechanized, seemingly cyborg rabbit? Well, F.I.S.T is the first game to make that fantasy come true, but it also gives you a massive challenge along the way. The combat is both intense and incredibly technical, and the kill rooms that you'll come across will test your every single skill that you've picked up along the way. So if cyborg rabbits are your thing, check out Forged in Shadow Torch, available on PC, Switch, PS5s, and Xboxes. Next up, the sequel to Ender Lilies, Ender Magnolia Bloom in the Mist. It carries that same heavy, beautiful atmosphere as Hallownest, but with a companion-based combat system that rewards a completionist's attention to detail and build crafting. What makes this title special is the main character doesn't fight. She summons purified spirits to do the heavy lifting. The combat is incredibly fluid, letting you mix and match 30 different skills to create your own personal playstyle. But don't let the gorgeous pixel art and haunting piano-heavy soundtrack fool you. The bosses here are massive screen-filling threats with punishing difficulty spikes. It's a masterclass in atmospheric storytelling that proves the genre is still evolving. Ender Magnolia Bloom in the Mist, available on PC, Switches, PlayStations, and the Xbox Series. And finally, we have the game that brought me back into the Metroidvania fold. I'm talking about 9 Souls. This showed me that the ability gating gets a million times better when the combat is cranked up to 11. It's to Hollow Knight what Sekiro is to Elden Ring. The parry-intense world pushed me to my absolute limit. I'm pretty sure it took me as long to beat the final boss as it did the rest of the game combined, and I loved every second of it. Mastering a combat system with such little forgiveness keeps every battle on the edge of a knife. One slip and it's over. In my humble opinion, it's one of the all-time greats. But if you finished all these, keep your eyes peeled for a couple of these honorable mentions here. Crown Sworn and Abyss X-Zero. Both these games look to challenge that Metroidvania fan to their absolute max. Now, to my friend's nephew and to everyone else out there using these games to find their strength, keep exploring. Hallownest was just the beginning. I'm Dove, the Gamer Buff. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button and consider subscribing. Until next time, folks, game on.